Welcome to Capital Flash.
Ms. Robinson, I want to follow up by trying to understand your answer to one of Senator Cruz's questions. And this is really a question, not a suggestion. Do I understand your position to be that there are two sexes, but there can be more than two genders?
I wouldn't even say two, and we've got Dr. Lopez here as well, but there's also the definition of intersex. I think that often in these conversations we're conflating sex and gender, and I do want to affirm here that trans women are women. That is their gender.
Okay, but I'm trying to understand. Do you make a distinction between sex and gender?
Yes, sir.
Okay, explain that. Do you think there are more than two sexes?
I believe that there's a definition for intersex as well that I want to acknowledge. But sex is assigned at birth.
Three? I'm just trying to understand. I'm thoroughly confused. So you're born, I'm talking about biology, male, female, and what else?
I believe that intersex is also acknowledged. But again, I'm not a doctor here. What I can
And
say
what does intersex mean?
is that there's a difference between sex and gender. And I think in these conversations, we're conflating the two.
Well, but I want to start with sex. Okay, there's male, there's female. When a baby's born, before the baby has had time to even have a sense of self, there's male, female, and intersex. There's a third sex.
I believe that is true, but I would defer to Dr. Lopez as I'm not a physician.
Okay. And how many genders are there?
I think the gender is expansive, and the definitions are always growing. Today I can tell you, I talk to young people that talk about non-binary as
more than five.
I think the gender is not a binary, is what I'm trying to say.
Are there more than five genders? I'm just trying to understand. Are there more than five genders?
Well, I think that there was a time where women wearing pants didn't feel like it was appropriate for their gender, and yet I'm wearing pants today. I think that there are ways that we express our gender that are expansive.
Are there more than five?
I wouldn't subject myself to naming how many genders there are, but what I can say is that gender is a reflection.
Number?
Excuse me?
There's an infinite number of genders?
I think depending on your culture, there are a lot of different genders that exist. And I can also say that it's a term that's evolving. If you look at young people today, they really don't lean into the binary of only woman and man. So I think that it's incumbent upon us not to legislate on this, but create space for them to explore.
Welcome back to Capital Flash, the channel where we dive into Senate hearings, political conversations, and the moments that spark national debate. If you're new here, make sure to subscribe, tap the notification bell, and like this video so you don't miss future breakdowns. Today, we're reacting to a tense and thought-provoking exchange between Senator John Kennedy and Ms. Robinson, where questions about sex, gender, fairness in sports, and biological differences took center stage. Let's break down what happened. Senator Kennedy starts by following up on a previous line of questioning. He asks Ms. Robinson directly whether she believes there are two sexes but more than two genders. She responds that sex and gender are not the same, and emphasizes that trans women are women, separating biological sex from gender identity. Kennedy pushes for clarity. Are there more than two sexes? Ms. Robinson acknowledges male, female, and intersex, while noting she isn't a physician and defers to another witness. Then Kennedy shifts to gender. How many genders are there? She describes gender as expansive, evolving, and culturally influenced, something not limited to a fixed number. Kennedy asks again, pressing, more than five? Infinite? Ms. Robinson doesn't commit to a number, insisting gender expression varies and expands over time. From here, Kennedy redirects the discussion to athletics and fairness in sports. He asks if biological males have advantages over biological females. She avoids giving a definitive yes or no, instead stating that outcomes vary person to person. Some men are slower than some women outperform some men. Kennedy counters with real-world examples, including Serena and Venus Williams losing to a lower-ranked male tennis player, attempting to highlight biological advantages in strength and speed. The tension rises when Kennedy suggests she is damaging her credibility by refusing to acknowledge biological differences. He reinforces that people deserve respect and freedom in personal identity, but also argues that biological females deserve fairness in sports. He expresses support for individual rights yet stresses competing interests, parental rights, athletic fairness, and acknowledgement of biological reality. Ms. Robinson closes by saying not all men are superior to all women, and the discussion isn't about men versus women, but about trans women participating as women. She maintains that affirming transgender identity doesn't take away from her womanhood. The exchange ends with Senator Hirono moving the hearing forward. This moment captures a broader national debate. Identity versus biology, inclusion versus fairness, rights versus rights. One side emphasizing evolving gender identity and inclusion, the other emphasizing biological differences and fairness in competition. It's emotional, complicated, and far from settled. So I want to hear from you. Speaking head, do you think biological differences should determine sports eligibility? Speech balloon, should gender identity or biological sex take priority in athletics? Thumbs up, like this video if you found the breakdown clear and informative. Bell, subscribe to Capital Flash for more Senate hearing reactions and political analysis. This has been Capital Flash, where we shine a light on what's said in the room and what it means outside of it. See you in the next deep dive.